Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I'm going to make a card using these. They're the circle cracker tower dies from Made to Surprise. And you can see here, this is the card that this style makes, but I'm not going to make this. There's lots of videos on Sam's channel Made to Surprise, as well as Gemma Lee Crafts. They have videos using this die set and to make this card style. I've used some other products from my stash to make this an anniversary card for my hubby. So we're not going to make this card. The card we're going to make is this one. And it is a stepper card. You can see that it will sit like so. This is how it sits when it's standing up. It's displayed like this. And I just love it. So we're taking a card style, we're adapting it by cutting a little bit off, adding an extra score line and an extra piece of card onto the back to make this. So I'm going to go through the products that I've used to make this card. I've used these, the tower dies. Now these dies are out of stock, unfortunately, but if you're a collector of the Made to Surprise, you might have them and be interested in making this. So this is the die that I'm going to use, and I'm going to put this through my die cutting machine. I use my Big Shot Plus to die cut this out, and when you die cut it out, you have a piece like this. And as I said, we're going to cut a little bit off this and add a score line to give us this style of card. I'm going to be using in the card that I'm going to make, although I'm making this style, I'm going to use some other products. The images that I've used here on this are images from the Creative Stamping magazine, issue 139, and that came out a couple of weeks ago. I stamped the images and coloured them in, and I used my Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers to colour the images in. There's the images. There's lots of really punny sentiments in this stamp set that are just so funny. And as well as punny ones, there's regular Christmas wishes, but they have like Merry Pigmas sending bear hugs, etc. So they're the images that I've used on this card for the bears and the bear with the Christmas tree. But the North Pole little sign that's here and the snowflakes that I've used, they're from this set, which is the North Pole die set. And again, this set is sold out, but you might just have it in your stash. So I will use this die here as well as this die here to make my North Pole sign and to die cut out the snowflakes that come in it. The images that I'm going to use for the card we're going to make today are from this. This is the Festive Fun stamp and die set. Again, this is sold out, but the images on it are really, really cool. So we get some stamped images and we get dies to die cut them out. And what I have done is I've stamped those images, and what I did was coloured them in, again using my Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers. And then what I do is I scan these into my printer and then I print up the images. I use the dies on them, and that gives me lots of images that I can use. And this is how I store the images. What I do is I cut them apart so that I've enough room then to add the die onto them, and then I can die cut them out. If you have a scan and cut or a Cricut, you can use that, but there are dies in the set that I've used. You don't need to use these products. You can use whatever you have in your stash. I've also used this, it's a stamp set from Made to Surprise. It's the Sentiments A5 stamp set. I've used Have a Wonderful Christmas and For Our Home to Yours. And you can see that From Our Home to Yours is here. And then inside I have stamped Have a Wonderful Christmas. So that's all the products that we need to make this card. Once you have die cut out your stepper, what you need to do is then take your trimmer, whether it's a guillotine trimmer or whatever that you use, you'll need to cut a little piece off this. So I'm going to cut 3/4 of an inch off this piece just on one side. So I'll pop it into my trimmer there. I hope you can see that. I'll pop it in there so it's 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll use my blade to cut that down. And once I have that bit trimmed off, then I'm going to bring in my scoring board. Now, there is a scoring blade on this you can use as well, but just for ease for you to see better, I'm going to use my scoreboard. So my piece here now measures 9 1/4 by 6 inches. And we're going to do some scoring. So I want to have my 1/4 inch piece here. I want that in towards this end here. So that's going to be set in like so. So we're going to do a score line here now at 2 1/4. So with this right up to the edge, I'm going to score at 2 1/4, and that literally brings it right down to the top here. So if you have a piece of cardstock and you don't have it die cut out, you can still make this stepper and decorate it. So at 2 1/4, I'm going to score along all the way right down to the bottom. And then I'm also going to score at 4 1/2. And they're the 2 score marks that we need. I also need a piece of cardstock, and this piece of cardstock is for the back here, like so. And that's going to be attached onto the back here. And then when it folds over, it'll meet up with our 4 1/2 inch mark score line there. So this piece of cardstock measures 5 1/2 by 6, and on the 5 1/2 inch side we want to score at 4 3/4. Now I have a couple of extra score lines in here, don't mind them at all. It's the 4 3/4 we want to score this piece at. So now that's our 2 pieces that we have ready. I'm going to move the scoreboard out of the way. And I'm going to fold this. So I'm going to fold on our 2 1/4. And you can use your scoring tool, your burnishing tool, whatever you want to call it. And you can burnish those. And then I'm going to fold it back on our 4 1/2 inch score line. So when you look at it now, we have a mountain fold and we have a valley fold. Now our piece will sit well, as you can see here with our card, it will sit well. But I have added a little piece, a little mechanism in here, which will stop this from splaying down like so. So the little piece that I have here, this piece measures 2 inches by 1 inches, and I've scored it at 1/2, 1 and 1 1/2, and that'll give us this W piece here. Now you can add one of these in here if you want, and that will stop this one from splaying open too much. And you can add one in here as well, and that'll stop this one from splaying open too much. It depends on yourself and the mechanism and whether your card will sit up or not, but I find those little mechanisms are great to keep your card from opening too much. Okay, so I'll assemble our card now shortly. I'm going to move that over here, and then we're going to be able to look at all our pieces that we're going to use. So I have some snowflakes that I've die cut out. I've stamped my from our home to yours. I have die cut out my North Pole sign. I've got my little mechanisms, and I've also got 2 little snowbanks. Now these 2 snowbanks, they both are 6 inches long, and this one measures about 2.5 inches tall, and this one is about 1 3/4. You can see they sit over each other, and I've just used my scissors to cut, you know, like rolling hills or snowbanks into them. I don't know if you can see there on the video, but I have used some grey to highlight the snowbank itself, because if we have white on white on white, it's very hard to see, but when we add a little bit of grey, you can see it. I've used my tri-blend markers. This is the brown grey blend that I've used, and I went over the tops of each snowbank, and then I did a couple of little squiggle marks in there, so it looks, because snow has texture, and when you look at it, there's divots and holes and everything in it, so we want to add that in. I used a Posca marker in white, and what I did was I did a line just under the grey on all of it, and I think that adds a little bit of dimension to our snowbanks. And then I hope you can see I've added my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I have gone over where our grey and white is. So in real life, it really gives it sparkle and dimension. It looks really, really cool. So there are snowbanks. Now I've also got my images here, which I showed you earlier, and they are cut out. So I have 3 differently coloured snowmen that I'm going to use. I've got one of my Christmas trees and one of my little lights to embellish my stepper card. So that's everything that I've used. What we need now to do is a little bit of assembly. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So I'm going to attach the back panel to our stepper, and I'm using a little bit of double-sided tape. I'm going to also put on top of that a little bit of liquid glue. That'll allow me to make sure that I attach it nice and straight. A little bit of wiggle room there. Now, you could stamp your sentiment before you do that. I have a stamping positioner, so it allows me to do it later. I'm putting those little mechanisms in behind the circles, but if you make this from scratch and don't use a die, it won't really matter where you place them. I've got my snowbanks in now, and I'm going to add my coloured and die cut images. I'm going to add the light post there on the right hand side, and I put the North Pole sign on the right hand side as well. And for a finish, when I've it done, I don't like it. I do have more of these pieces coloured and die cut out, and I do make a third card off camera, so you'll be able to see how it looks with the North Pole sign to the left and my lamp post to the right. Also remember that this card, as it is at the moment, is only 4 3/4 in height, and you can raise up your Christmas tree as high as you like. In the other one I'm going to make off camera, the Christmas tree is up higher because my envelope will be 6 by 6. So I'll make sure that anything I put on is within that size. So now I've stamped my sentiment inside. I'm adding some of my snowflakes, and I'm going to add one of the little snowmen as well. And on all 3 cards, I do the same with them. I'll either add the bear to the bear card or snowman to the snowman cards. So that's it now. I think we have it all decorated, and I love how it looks. And here we are with our finished card, and I hope you'll agree it looks really, really well. It stands up brilliantly, and I'm just so pleased with it. We have our little sentiment and everything inside. And don't forget, like I said earlier, you can bring these up as high as you want. I have another one that I made here, and you can see that the Christmas tree is actually taller in this one, and I have changed around some things. I do love this one that we've made together, but I think I prefer the positioning of the North Pole with our lovely little lamp and our snowman and tree. So this would be another way that you could do it. If you didn't want to have the North Pole there behind your light post, you could do it that way. So there we go. There is our really fab stepper card using some dies that you may have in your stash. And altogether, I've made 3 of these cards. I'm going to use these for my Christmas cards to friends and family this year. And I hope you've been inspired to have a go and make it too, and use some stamps that you have in your stash. So that's it. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'd give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and ding the bell so you'll be notified next time I post another video. And yeah, if you do make this card, I'd love for you to share it on my Facebook group page called Your Cards and Crafts. So I'm going to leave it there. I can't quite get them all in. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there, folks. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and bye for now. Bye-bye.